Hi everyone, welcome to Lights, Camera, Action. I'm Allison Howard and your host for tonight. Today we're going to be talking to 3 actors from the local D.C. Baltimore area, and we're going to learn about different projects that each of them are working on. So first we have Carl Stevens, Oriana Opus, and Dominic Spencer.
Hello.
Nice to meet you
Nice
and
to meet
see
you
all
too.
of you guys. So first off, we're just going to start off with, how did you guys end up getting into acting? Sure, Carl.
My closest?
Yeah.
I tried to come up with a clever answer for that, but I thought if my mother was here, she'd say he's always been acting. Like he just is an actor. It's just how he is. I'm from a large family, and all my 9 brothers, they're all just on the baseball diamond or at the basketball hoop or somewhere, and was doing something else.
Right.
And so I was used to perform or to entertain, or when the guests came, it's like, well, I had showed the parents in private this, like, hey, Ma, look what I can do. So then they would, particularly my father would, hey, Carl, get out here. And then, ask me to perform what I had shown him earlier. So this kind of started at home, actually. I don't know if that counts as an answer, but we had a built-in audience, so maybe
Right.
it's a valid perspective.
I think that's perfect.
Yeah, and then of course school things, everybody has school things, and maybe church things, and community things, and it kind of goes like that, if you really want to know where it started.
Perfect. That's the perfect answer. How about you, Oriana?
I think my first exposure to it was in about 5th or 6th grade. I was always kind of weird, like just a weird kid. I wasn't the most popular, and I really didn't know how to fit in. One day there was a school play. I was Marie Antoinette, and it just felt so natural. So here was this weird, quiet girl who didn't really talk to anybody, and then all of a sudden I got on stage. It was like, poof! So, that was just like my first bite. I think when I finally decided to make the jump into acting as a career was right after college. I had gone to school in Montreal, where French is a primary language, and I didn't have the ability to speak French as fluently as I needed to find work. So I took an acting class that was being taught in English in the neighborhood, kind of totally random. And after a few months, my teacher was like, I think you need to just move to LA. And so that's what I did.
Wow.
I packed up my car and my dog and just drove out west and started acting.
Nice.
Wow. Now, did you study acting in college?
No, not at all. I did not act at all through college. I only did a couple plays in high school, and again, it was kind of like, it wasn't a focus for me, but somehow I always fell into it, and whenever I did fall into it, it was just so natural for me. It just felt so right. So I think, it took a little bit of time for me to just finally be like, I think this is where I fit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Dominic, how about you?
With me, I first started acting in middle school. It was 6th grade, school play kind of thing. Like Oriana, it was Sleepy Hollow. Just did little filler roles. So that was fun, and a lot of my friends was doing it too. So I was like, oh, this is like a win-win. But what really wanted me to pursue it rather was, I know when I was younger and I was in pre-K and kindergarten, we would go see all the older kids, 6 up, doing their thing on stage. I was like, oh, that's nice. Looks really interesting. It's really cool.
You mean their performances?
Yeah, because we had to go. It was like mandatory during the day, and then they did their runs throughout the nights. And I was like, you know what? When I get in 6th grade, I'm going to do it. So I did. But and then got back into it in high school, 11th grade. Then in 2007, when I graduated, Step Up 2 was here in Baltimore. So a friend of mine was like, yeah, they got this open call. I'm like, sure, why not? I'll go. And ended up getting called to do extra work. And I framed the email. It's on my wall. I was ecstatic. Ended up being cast as a featured role in that. And then The Wire was here. I was featured in that. And then from there, it's history. So It started in middle school.
That's so great. So did you study acting at all?
My really first bit of studying came when I had drama as an elective in high school. And special hello to David Bowles, because he's my instructor. So it kind of went there. We did bits and pieces because I went to St. Francis Academy, and that's one of the best basketball schools in Maryland. Actually, Angel McCautry, who is in the WNBA, she is an alumni from St. Francis, and she won an Olympic gold medal for us this year in London. So, but yeah, that's a basketball school. I was like, all right, I'm gonna come in here and play ball, but I didn't at all. So it worked out. So it started there. I took a couple courses in CCBC Essex Community College with an instructor, Donald Schwartz, but nothing really formal until the last several years when I've been getting coaching. I've been going to workshops regularly.
Right. Wow, that's great. So did you ever study?
You know, no, but I had the good fortune of having wonderful actors and directors.
Okay.
Just sort of by default.
Right.
Even in childhood. And, you know, town, from New England, so there was this opportunity for a lot of little town types of things, and Lenox, Massachusetts, which has a lot of culture. So there was a lot of opportunity to have very, very good people around. So in a way, training by default, because you're in it, right? So if the director is good, you're learning how he talks, how he maneuvers, what you do, what you don't do.
Right.
But I've never had formal education, but certainly good directors.
Now, it sounds like you've done a lot of theater.
Yes.
You've also worked in film, though, right?
Yes.
Now, which do you prefer?
Oh, well, for different reasons, I like them both. I mean, there's nothing to be compared to live theater and the whole preparation and backstage and the people that you meet. You become very, you know, night after night after night, you're with them. And the live audience, this is a sort of adrenaline rush, and the sort of constant call for you to be good, like back to back, these minutes. It's very interesting. It's sort of euphoric. So you can't compare that to anything. In fact, I think it would be very hard to describe it to someone who doesn't do it. But there's so much moving and going and so much action, and everybody helps, and every audience is different. So that is helping you to pull out when they aren't helping, and you know, after it's like, my gosh, is anyone alive out there? So there's a whole interesting thing about that in terms of your own dimensions, I think. It's very challenging and it's interesting. It's just beautiful, really. Do you want me to say the film? You don't want me to shut up?
Film is fine. Quick.
Like, film is good too. Because it captures you and it can propel you further in other directions. It's like an archive.
Agreed.
That's very true. Now, Oriana, you've worked in theater and film, and you also went out to LA and worked in film there too.
Yes.
So, but which realm do you prefer?
I am a film TV gal. I did a bit of theater, like I said, when I kind of fell into it. But there's something, I'm almost like obsessed with the way that the camera catches these really minuscule details, either of just one person or a tiny interaction between two people. And whenever I watch a movie and I see those tiny movements and like a twitch of an eye or just something just changes in a look, that's when I'm able to identify with those characters, and I love being able to do that on camera as well. That it captures something that, just because of the art form, theater,
I agree.
Physically, it's very difficult to do that, whereas the camera just lets you get to these really small, intimate moments.
Wow, that's very cool. Now, you studied over in Montreal, so how fluent are you in French?
I'm okay in French. I did a film last year called... You do films that are in French? Yeah.
That's great.
I've done a couple films where I've used my French. The last one I did is called The Three Sessions. It's not out yet. It's in post-production, but you know, I play an art agent who has an ex-boyfriend who's French, and we have this. I really like that. I'm also fluent in Italian, and when I get the opportunity to use those languages, it opens up another door that I don't necessarily have in English, because there's some sort of an emotional attachment to using languages that I used at home. So yeah, it's a really, really cool dynamic.
She's Italian.
That's very interesting.
In case you want to know.
Very cool. So Dominic, which do you prefer, theater or film?
I would have to say film for many reasons, but I would like to say that I give theater actors the utmost respect, just because, like Carl said, you can't beat the adrenaline rush that comes from having a live audience and the thrill it is to go out night after night after night after night after night and deliver, you know, at the top of your game. You know. But just mainly for film, just because of, like Oriana was saying, just the small, minute details, the little instances that you catch on camera, like I would say Denzel Washington in Glory, which he won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. But it's a moment where the camera's just focused on him, and I think Denzel has some of the best moments. And it's focusing on him, and it's just one tear that just comes down.
Everyone aspires to that moment where you can have that one
and it just
tear.
looks fantastic.
Yeah.
But I would have to say, just because of how close it is to you, like it's right there. So I would have to say film.
Very, very cool. So Oriana's already made the trek out to Los Angeles, and I know you guys are more local to this area, but is anybody planning on making the move out to LA or up to New York?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Los Angeles. The first step is becoming eligible for the union, SAG-AFTRA, which I am. But the next step is acquiring the funding for the initiation fee. And then lastly, I would say it would be the personal intuition to go ahead and make the leap.
Yes.
As far as confidence, materials, and so forth. You know, it won't be perfect when you go out. It never is. You can't really place a timing on it, but as long as you feel ready to go, then that's when you should go. And I believe I'll be ready next year. It's starting to build up. Things are starting to go really well, and I'm leaning towards next year. So yes, Los Angeles.
Good for you. Now, Oriana, you went there, and now you're back here.
Yeah.
Now, are you from around here?
No, I'm from Chicago, actually.
Oh.
Wow.
A great theater town.
So what
Great
made
theater
you leave LA and then come back here? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. A lot of people think like, oh, you just didn't make it.
No, that's not
I didn't
true.
think that.
No, but
That's
I
not
think
true,
a lot
though.
of non-actors or people who aren't familiar with the business assume that, and
Right.
that wasn't the case. I absolutely loved going to school, and one of my career goals when I was in university was working in international law. I just love it.
Yes.
So at some point in LA, I just really missed it, and I started working in journalism at UCLA, and then eventually decided I just wanted to go back to school. So I went to grad school in international law at the University of Chicago, went back home, and then moved out here, I guess, when I met my fiance, who's from here. Yeah. So but the decision to leave LA was more of just a personal one. There's certainly your ups and downs in LA. It's a different universe, but I don't know. I felt like I could continue focusing on acting out of LA as well.
Right. And were you happily surprised to find how much work that there is in this area when you moved here?
So I've only recently started working here full-time as an actor, and it is a different animal completely. You know, in LA I had an agent, and that's how I got my auditions. I still, looked as much as I could, but that is the way to get an audition. Here, you're really working by yourself a lot. You don't really have agents the way that you do in New York and LA. So it's more like you're running your own personal business here.
Right.
And yeah, I'm having to learn a lot, but it's really great. It's really I've met some very inspiring actors, and directors, and writers out here.
Nice.
Now, Carl, how about you? Have you thought about making the move to
Yeah.
LA or New York? Or?
Yeah, I've thought about both. I have a place to stay in New York. I go up there a lot. I go up there a lot for auditions and have had a gig or two up there.
Right.
Yep. And first I was thinking move up to New York, and I was making the arrangements to close things out here. But lately I've gotten so much interesting work. Actually, I'm not so sure if I want to.
Right.
And there's also this, how does it go? Big fish in a small pond kind of thing.
Yes.
One of my friends said, you have to consider that, like bumped into Dominic and we'd met, there was something nice about bumping into people that you know, which doesn't mean it can't happen in LA.
Yeah.
But there is a much smaller pool here.
Much smaller pool, and but I'm not against it. It's just maneuvering. I mean, there's I'm in performance art too, so that has to do with scheduling, and so there's a lot happening. I'm just not against it, but every couple of months I get up to New York at least.
That's great.
I have found there's a very supportive community here.
It is
That's
very
nice to hear.
supportive. Oh, you don't feel
I
the
think-
same.
No, I
Don't jump on Carl
I said it's
because
nice to hear.
I do I'm not going to say I agree because I'm not sure where Carl's going, but I will say that in the area there are, well, let me start over. I would say that I've been lucky to be blessed with 9 other actors, directors, writers. We dabble in everything producing, who really support me. It's my team, Shark Nation, and it kind of dabbles into the whole shark fish pool and everything, but that's for another day. But nah, I love those guys and they love me back. But I'm not going to say that everybody has the best interest of everyone collectively, because I don't want to say that's fully true. Because I feel that if we network more within the area as far as with producers and directors and actors and so forth, editors, what have you, we could get a lot more done, and therefore we could bring a lot more of what's happening over west and up in New York back here. You know, it's starting to become more prevalent now. We got our taxes back and so forth with productions, but if we network more, we could bring even more back. So I'm a little
How
on the
did you
fence.
guys interpret that as some kind of... Why did you say, ah, when I said, oh, that's nice to hear?
Oh,
I didn't mean that in any negative way.
Okay.
I just said, oh, that's nice to hear. It's like,
Not necessarily.
yeah, go
yeah,
on,
it
talk.
is
The
nice
way
to
that
hear.
you said that, I thought that meant that you hadn't had
No,
that experience.
not whatsoever.
Okay.
I just was saying, oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's cool.
And I'm not saying you can't find that in LA. I'm just saying I've noticed a difference between LA and here. There's much more like, hey, have you heard about this audition? And people are genuinely telling you about this audition to get you to audition for that role.
Right.
I never experienced that in LA. Like there was no, everything was
Well,
very
there's so much more
secret.
competition.
Yeah.
That's where,
It's very competitive.
yeah.
I mean, but that's it. That's their industry there. You know what I mean? Like that's the driving force behind.
Yes, but you know what? There's a lot of competition here too.
There is.
So I'm a union actor, and I gotta say, it's kind of been a disadvantage because so much of the work here is non-union. So among the union pool, there's a lot of competition.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that people are willing to help each other out because that's just the networking aspect is just so much healthier out here.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. So either being work that you've done here or work that you've done elsewhere, are there any projects or things that are going to be that you did recently or that are going to be coming out soon, either if it's theater or short films, TV, whatever?
Me?
Carl?
Okay, yes. Performance art, I have a lot of. I made the goal to have 12 gigs this year, paying gigs, and this has already been reached.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and so there's a
Wow.
lot going on, and the city is all arisen this month to do all this stuff, and so on the 15th of September over in town, we're doing a big multi-person sort of street dance performance. Very interesting stuff. There's that, but this series where we met,
Oh, okay.
which I'll let you talk about, Rebels and Something Rejects. So we're going to be in that.
Yeah,
Both of us are Rebels
I'll
and
bring that
Rejects.
out when it comes over to me.
We'll
I got
let
you.
him talk about that.
That's fine.
I am in a feature film called Apocolypes Kiss, which comes out next year. It starts filming next year. Sorry,
Okay.
it starts filming probably by the end of the year. That's with a Philadelphia director and some good actors. Interesting little world up there because from here as well, we're talking about this hub. I go to Philly a lot for auditions as well, an hour and a half, 2 hours away.
Right.
So this whole triangle thing is happening a lot in my life. There's that, and then supposedly we're doing the second series of something called, the second film of the Gun Slinger Grifter Logan, in which I play a mad, evil scientist guy who's kind of responsible for these mutated people that are eating the regular humans, one of these type of deals. So I get to be very psychotic and strange in that, which is a lot of fun and devilish.
It's right up your alley.
Yeah. I love it. So that's what I've got around the corner.
Wow, that's very exciting.
I think so.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, 2 feature films with a lot of stage time, as we call it, but whatever.
Screen time.
Screen time. There we
There
go.
you
A
go.
lot of screen time. And, really weird people, which I love. I mean, there's such a weird world between, directors and other actors, and the techies are complete psychos. I mean, I just love, there's this whole world that's going on that I've found inside these artistic pools.
It's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
That's awesome. Oriana, how about you?
So just this last Friday night, I was on America's Most Wanted. It was very exciting.
Excellent.
Who the hell was my husband?
On the 24th?
Great. What's that?
On the 24th?
On the 31st, August 31st.
Okay. That's
What are you wanted for?
yeah, were you a victim?
Can
I
you
guess
let the cat
that's
out of the
debatable.
bag? Oh.
No, I can. So
Okay.
my husband burned
the show.
probably in the show, not my real husband. Most likely burned his first wife to death. And now he's somewhere in the Cayman Islands or something with like millions of dollars embezzled from his workplace and all this crazy crap. It was a lot of fun.
Wow.
I really enjoyed working on that show. So other than that, the last movie that I worked on called Suspicious Densities is now hitting the film festival circuit. So I'm really excited to see what comes out of
Congratulations. Best of
that.
luck.
Thank you. And then the same writer that wrote Suspicious Densities wrote a feature film that she's having me read the lead role for, at
Nice.
least for a reading this fall.
Wow.
Which I'm really excited about. The story is, I actually, when I sat down to read the script, by the end of it, I was crying and laughing. It was just one of those great love stories. And I get to use a little bit of my Italian in it. So
There you go.
I'm happy about that. And I'm just starting to get into voiceovers. Just finished my commercial voiceover demo, hoping I can diversify into that realm.
But there's a lot of
There's
need
a
for
lot of that
that. There's a lot
here.
of money in it.
I'm glad to
Yes.
hear that.
Yeah.
I just have to learn how to break into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really exciting.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm so happy for you guys. So Dominic, how about you?
Okay, I have a handful, so
Oh,
I'll try
boy.
to be brief
There
as
we go.
possible. The first film I would like to start on is Fang. It's a feature-length horror comedy film, independent, directed by Jonathan Buchel, shot in Glen Burnie, Maryland. In short, 3 friends are suspicious of their neighbor's activities, so they dwell into it. I won't go into it too much, but we have blood, gore, immense hilarity throughout the film. You will laugh, you will cry, do a little bit of everything. It's going under reviews now. It's in the festival circuit. It was shot in 2011. We had a nice little premiere, and I'm one of the leading roles in the film. We do have a trailer online, and it was a blast to work with them. Done with that. On to All in a Game. This was another feature action film by Gary Ugaric. In short, it's about 4 drug dealers on the east side of Baltimore, played by Nelson Irizarry, Chris Clanton, Micaiah Jones, and Kelvin Page, who want to take over the entire drug trade in Baltimore. So they decide to do it at any means necessary, whether it depends on taking their own. In that film, I played the role of Flash. Flash is a young drug dealer on the east side of Baltimore. He dresses really loud, wears loud colors, wears a lot of chains, dresses really nice for himself to bring attention from the girlies and his fellow hustlers on the street, just to say, hey, if I can do it, you can do it too. But he crosses paths with the leader of the gang, Ontario, who's played by Nelson. And one of his rules is we don't like loud at all. So he makes an example out of me to him and his crew. That film screened at the Landmark and at the Art Theater at the Wright Film Festival, and we just took home Best Action Film at the World Media Independent Film Festival at the 3rd annual in the last week of August. All right, I'm done from that. I have another feature-length drama entitled Reminisce, which will be shooting mid-September. Principal photography begins. It's by Robbie Soto. It's the story of an older man telling how he met his wife, who was their grandmother to his children, through a bedtime story. So, story of underdogs per se, but it's a lot of fun. It's a great script. I play a leading role in that as well. The lead's best friend, guy Mark, good kid. You know, he's one of those guys that if he's your best friend, he'll let nothing happen to you. His problem is your problem. And we begin principal photography on that mid-September. So we have Girl Trouble, feature-length horror comedy, 3 friends, overbearing girlfriend, bad news, you got voodoo curses, all of that. And web series, Rebels and Rejects, which me and Carl will both be in. Season 2 is going to be shooting in October. Stay tuned. And all these projects you can find if you search through Facebook with the title.
Oh, wow, that's great. So it sounds like you guys have been really busy and that you've been working on a lot of stuff. So if you can just tell me one type of character or role that you haven't played yet that you would love to play. Whoever wants to start.
I guess I'll start. I would say the super good guy hero type. The ones that Will Smith plays. Maybe James Bond-ish. That's what I would do. James Bond.
There you
That'd
go.
be that guy.
I'm usually cast as sort of the brooding, intelligent, strong but delicate, dark figure. I would love to play more of a comedic, lighthearted, Julia Louis-Dreyfus-esque character.
Oh, okay.
That'd be great. I can totally see you on Seinfeld.
Oh, I'd love that so much. It's like a dream.
She was really good on beat too.
I'd like to be a passionate lover,
Passionate lover.
and a good one, not a rogue, a good one.
What characters are you normally pegged as?
Psychotics. Psychotics, ex-Vietnam vet psychos.
Well,
That's a good brand.
that's not
a good
good.
brand.
I
I
wouldn't
feel
say
like
that's
that's
a
your
bad thing.
perfect niche, though.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I asked the directors, like, is there something that screams psychotic about me? They said, be glad you got a job.
Yeah.
And I
That is a good
Exactly.
thing. At least
But
you
I do
have,
find it easy to be.
you should
so
have an
twisted.
archetype.
Yes, absolutely. Now, what are you normally pegged as?
I wouldn't know. I've done a good amount of, different roles. I would say if I was to step in the casting director's door, I would get maybe the leading female, leading male's best friend.
Okay.
Maybe some type of executive, young executive maybe, but probably the best friend. Say the best friend for now. Just the good guy, the good, handsome young man. There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
That's what everybody wants to be. So basically, you're the perfect protagonist.
Yes, the
Yes.
African American, yes.
All right, guys. Well, it's been so great having each of you on to talk about your stories and everything, and I can't wait to see more work that each of you put out, and I'd love to continue to get updates on what you guys are doing
Of course, sure.
and everything. And I'm really excited to see everything that you're going to be in, and it's great. America's Most Wanted. It's always awesome, and all of your performing arts.
Thank you.
I mean, that's wonderful. So
Thank
this
you.
has been Lights, Camera, Action with Allison Howard, and we just spoke to 3 great actors that are in the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. Everybody should hire them. And thank you so much for watching.